Okay, so let's talk about content protection. Typically, that means copyrights. You're probably familiar with this symbol, the C with the circle. Some people call it the C circle, and some people call it the circle C. And I call it both names depending on my mood, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, this is the symbol for copyright, and that is the right to copy, basically. Okay. You may not be familiar with this symbol, and you may. This is the P circle or the circle P. And this is used for recordings. So the P stands for phonograph, but typically I think about the P as produced. It's a song that's produced and recorded. So production, or however you want to look at it. But one is the song, and one is the recording of the song. Two different copyrights. Okay? The copyright symbol is designated by a circled C, and the symbol is used to provide notice of copyrights in works other than sound recordings. Now, you can still get a C circle copyright with the sound recording, but typically it means the words and or music, or both. The C, of course, stands for copyright. And in the United States, the copyright notice consists of three elements: the symbol or the word copyright, the year of first publication of the work, and the identification of the owner. So if you're going to put anything out there, I would recommend that you put the C circle copyright notice on there, the year that it's available for public, and the owner. Now, this does not mean the year that you wrote it necessarily, because maybe you wrote it a couple years ago, and the copyright notice is when it's available to the public. So a lot of songwriters take advantage of this, and they'll put 2021 on their copyright notice because maybe they wrote it a few years ago, but they haven't released it yet. By putting 2021 on it, it looks like it's more current. So just keep that in mind. This is also known as the controlling copyright. And what I mean by that is you can have one song that's a C circle copyright, but that one song can be recorded by many, many different artists. All of those artists need permission from the C circle copyright owner in order to produce a record or a recording, and then they will own their own P circle copyright, which is not the controlling copyright. So the C circle copyright is the controlling copyright, not the P circle. But copyright extends to literary works, articles, books, handouts, nonfictions, presentations, poems, short stories, motion pictures, audiovisual works, video games, songs, instrumentals, lyrics, screenplays, scripts, dramatic works, jewelry design, posters and flyers, and sculptures and logos and maps, and all kinds of different things can be used with the C circle copyright. So just keep that in mind. And when you want to register, and that's a very important term to use, is register your copyright. It's done through the Copyright Office of the United States government. And that's www.copyright.gov. Now, in this section of your artist development plan, you do want to put you're going to address the issue of content protection. So you will need to say something along the lines is the plan is to register the material or the content with the United States Copyright Office.
What's the difference between the C circle and P circle?
Okay, a C circle is the song itself. The P circle is the recording of the song. They're not the same thing, because you can have many recordings of the same song. Many different recordings of the same song. Think of the song White Christmas. How many people have done that? Thousands. Still the same C Circle, but all different P Circle copyrights. Okay? So the forms you're going to use the PA form for performing arts works in motion pictures. You use this SR form in the Copyright Office for sound recordings, and you'll use the CO form for online copyrights. If you have a co-writer, I don't believe you can use the CO form. You have to mail it in through the C form. And there are fees. It's $35 to online register the basic claim of an original work of authorship. That's per song. It's $55 for non-basic claim. That means there's two people filing, or it's a partnership of the song, co-writers, in other words. And it's $85 if you're going to send in a PA form or an SR form. And this is per copyright. What I would recommend, and you may have heard about this, is that if you can take all of your material that you've written and put it into a book, you can copyright the book for your songs. That's one fee. You don't have to have it $35 per song. You can copyright the whole book, and that's called book form. Now, there's good and bad about this. So the good is obviously it's going to save you some bucks. The not so good, and this is something you're going to have to realize, is that if Steven Spielberg calls you on the phone and wants to use one of your songs for the new Gremlins movie, he's going to ask you for a license to use that song. And you're going to say, yeah, here you go. Here's your license. Well, if the license is for all of your songs, you just gave him permission to use all of your songs for one fee instead of that one particular song. So if that's the case, if any use of one song comes about, maybe an artist wants to record a version of your song for their new upcoming album or something like that, what my recommendation is that you would then take that one song and copyright it by itself. Spend the $35 or $55, depending if it's you and a co-writer or not. And then issue a license for the use of that one song and not for your book. And there's 6 rights with copyrights. Okay, first of all, as the owner of the copyright, and you are the owner until you give it to someone else to own and control for you, such as a music publisher. But you have 6 rights. The first right is you have the exclusive right to reproduce copies of that song. You have the exclusive right to make derivatives, such as samples. You have the exclusive right for public display or public performance. You have the exclusive right to distribute that copyright. And you have the exclusive right for digital transmissions. Nobody else has those rights until you give them permission to use your copyright with a license.
Can you explain number 5 and 6 better?
Okay, so a right to distribute would be, say, let's say, and this is something I do recommend to artists that are doing open mics, for example. I recommend that they distribute the lyrics to their songs to the fans in the audience.
Mm-hmm.
You're the only one, or the copyright owner is the only one eligible to do that legally.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you can distribute copies of your song to whomever you want. It's your copyright. As far as digital transmissions, digital means, electronic, which means you have the exclusive right to put it up on SoundCloud or YouTube or anywhere else, but nobody else has that right until you give them the right. All right. Are there any questions about copyrights?
So is C Circle, isn't that just like the score of the song?
Yep. Could be the
Okay.
score, could be the lyrics, could be, Yeah, that's the main part. It's the song itself, the music and the lyrics and the beat, depending on, you know, what kind of use you're going to use. But writing it down and submitting it to the Copyright Office is part of the C Circle copyright.
Okay.
If someone wants to record it, then they own that recording, but they don't own the song. They just own that recording of the song, and that's a P Circle copyright. Are there other questions?
So for the book, would you make after you have kind of a big discography, or would you keep adding to that, or how would you go about doing the book method if you know, or keep releasing things?
Okay, good question. Once you file a copyright, you can't add to it. So my recommendation would be to put together as many songs as you can for the book form, copyright that, and then as you write new songs, don't release them until they're ready. Put together another book. Now, if you're in a hurry and you want to start releasing new material, that's fine, but realize that your copyright's going to be, if it's just you, $35 every time you file a submission to copyright, which can get expensive. I mean, I have hundreds and hundreds of songs. I definitely do not want to pay for them one at a time. It'd be thousands of dollars.
And so for the book, how in depth, like of like a score or whatever, would it have to be?
Does not have to be in depth. You don't need to worry about, you know, maybe the rhythm guitar section, or, you know, it's the melody. Whatever you can hum, that's the melody. So it could be one line of music, and the lyrics. So you don't need and you can copyright arrangements. That can be done too. And arrangers do copyrights. But typically for a songwriter, all you need is the melody and the lyrics.
So like if you don't have a vocal part and you don't have a melody and it's more soundscape, would you not even need the C Circle copyright just because
No,
you couldn't possibly recreate the P Circle copyright?
At that point, if that's all you're doing, that could become the C Circle copyright. And you can do that with the PA form, for example, and submit a recording. And even though you're submitting a recording, it's still a C Circle copyright.
Gotcha. So you probably could put like a collection of ambient music.
Sure,
like
you
that.
could. You could just you just bump them all up together like an album.
Oh, okay. Oh, so like an album would work as the quote unquote book.
Sure.